What if your symptoms were not mistakes of biology, but cries from the soul? What if that tension in your chest, the lump in your throat, the fatigue that no sleep can fix, is not a physical issue, but a psychic signal? Carl Jung once said, "The body is the shadow of the soul." But what happens when that shadow gets ignored for so long that it starts screaming? Most people are taught to fear the body's signals. We treat pain like an enemy, illness like a random curse, and discomfort like something to sedate. But the truth is far more haunting and liberating. Your body does not betray you. It is the most loyal messenger you have. Every flare of anxiety, every migraine that visits at the same hour, every unexplained illness is not just a malfunction. It's a message, a mirror, a metaphor. It's your unconscious speaking in the only language it knows when words no longer work, the language of sensation, tension, and pain. And yet, we silence it. We numb it with pills. We override it with productivity. We shame it for being too sensitive, too weak, too slow. We push through the warning signs like emotional exiles, trained to ignore the wisdom of our own biology. But in Jungian psychology, nothing in you is accidental. The body is not separate from the mind. It is the stage where your unconscious dramas, your traumas, your suppressed truths, your uncried tears get performed in slow motion until you finally pay attention. So ask yourself, what is your body trying to say that your mind refuses to hear? What emotional inheritance are you carrying that your spine, your skin, your stomach have absorbed in silence? What buried experience is now rising to the surface, not as memory, but as inflammation, tightness, fatigue? In Jung's view, healing does not begin with a diagnosis. It begins with listening. The kind of deep listening that treats your symptoms not as enemies, but as encrypted soul messages. Because when energy is trapped, it doesn't vanish. It transforms. And often it transforms into illness, misalignment, or chronic pain. Not because your body is broken, but because your inner world is pleading for integration. Today, we're going to unearth the secret symbolic language of the body. We'll explore how emotional wounds that were never given permission to speak become physical symptoms that refuse to stay silent. And more importantly, I'm going to show you how to begin decoding these messages and releasing the pain, not from the surface, but from the source. Stay with me until the end, because once you understand this hidden chain between psyche and soma, it may forever change how you treat your health, your body, and your life. Let's begin not with the symptom, but with the silence underneath it. What if the pain isn't the enemy, but the messenger you've spent your whole life trying to silence? Most people treat discomfort as a nuisance, something to numb, fix, or escape. But Carl Jung believed that when something remains unprocessed in the psyche, it doesn't just disappear. It sinks, hides, and waits. And often, it chooses the body as its last resort for expression. If you're someone who's constantly tired for no reason, plagued by back pain that scans can't explain, or caught in an endless cycle of digestive issues, ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I've never given voice to? Think about it. Why does your stomach tighten every time you say yes when you mean no? Why does your chest feel heavy after another day of pretending to be fine? Why does your jaw clench in meetings, even when no one is attacking you? These aren't just physical reactions. They are symbols, echoes of the parts of you that never felt safe to speak, cry, grieve, or scream. Jung taught that the body becomes a canvas for the unconscious, a place where unspoken truths are written in tension, inflammation, and disease. In today's world, we're trained to treat pain mechanically. A pill for the headache, a treatment for the rash, a surgery for the recurring injury. But no one ever stops to ask, why does it keep returning? What if the true healing doesn't begin in the doctor's office, but in the quiet, raw spaces inside you that you've ignored for decades? Especially for those over 35, this pattern becomes more dangerous, because by then you've learned how to function through the pain. You've adapted. You show up. You perform. You fulfill your roles, all while your body carries the emotional backlog you never got to process. And over time, that suppression turns into symptoms. Your fatigue isn't laziness. It might be your soul finally refusing to carry the weight of your people-pleasing. Your chronic neck pain isn't just posture. It might be the silent scream of years spent swallowing your voice. Jung would ask us to pay attention not to what hurts, but to what the hurt is pointing toward. What memory did you bury? What part of you stopped feeling safe? What habit are you repeating that goes against your true self? Because until you bring that unconscious truth into awareness, your body will keep shouting it in the language of pain. And the longer you wait, the louder it gets. So here's the question only you can answer. What has your body been trying to say for years that you've been too afraid to hear? And what would happen, not if you silenced it, but if you finally listened? Have you ever noticed how your stomach reacts before your mind can make sense of a situation? That tightening in your gut, the churning sensation before bad news, the heaviness that arrives when something feels off, it's not just digestion. It's your second brain, your emotional barometer. Carl Jung often explored how the body becomes the stage upon which the unconscious plays out its unresolved dramas. And the gut, in many ways, is the most honest actor of all. When we suppress anxiety, betray our truth to keep the peace, or silence our emotional instincts to stay polite, it doesn't just go away. It sinks deep into the solar plexus, manifesting as discomfort, bloating, acid, or even chronic gut issues. The stomach is where emotional dishonesty ferments. It's where every yes you said when you wanted to say no lingers. It's where unspoken fears, people-pleasing tendencies, and years of emotional compromise turn into tight knots you can physically feel. In today's world, we're taught to be nice, to stay calm, to keep things moving. But at what cost? If your stomach is constantly unsettled, could it be that your boundaries are too? Could your gut be whispering that something or someone is out of alignment? Jung believed that ignoring the messages of the unconscious would eventually lead to what he called neurosis, a soul's cry that can no longer be contained in the shadows. And in modern terms, that neurosis often lands squarely in the gut. Ask yourself, what am I not digesting emotionally? What am I refusing to face? Who or what do I keep swallowing, even when it hurts? Real healing begins when you stop seeing your body as the enemy and start seeing it as the voice of your unconscious. The stomach doesn't lie, and neither does your inner self. The next time your gut speaks, don't drown it out with caffeine or numb it with convenience. Sit with it, listen, journal what it's trying to say. Because sometimes stomach pain is not about what you ate, it's about what you've been forced to swallow for far too long. When you begin to honor the wisdom of your body, you create the space for true emotional digestion. And with that, a quiet strength rises, the kind that doesn't need to pretend, doesn't need to please, and doesn't need to ache to be heard. So ask yourself, what truth has your stomach been trying to tell you all these years? Have you ever wondered why your back feels strained even on days when you haven't lifted anything heavy? Why does the tension seem to settle there, like a secret burden you can't name? Your back, especially your lower back, often becomes the hidden storage of emotional pressure and unspoken fears. While your shoulders carry the visible weight of responsibilities, your back absorbs the invisible one, the weight of survival, of unhealed wounds, of fear disguised as duty. In Jungian psychology, the body is not just flesh and bone, it is the unconscious made visible, and your spine, the very structure that holds you upright, reflects how supported you feel by life itself. Are you carrying the expectations of others that were never yours to hold? Are you bending over backward to maintain stability in a situation that drains your soul? The lower back, in particular, is tied to security, financial, emotional, and relational issues. When this area aches, it may not just be physical misalignment. It could be a deep-rooted belief that your survival is at risk unless you stay in control, stay useful, stay needed. So many people over 35 carry decades of unresolved pressure on their backs. They've become pillars for their families, silent providers, quiet endurers. But the body always remembers what the mind tries to forget. And when your back gives out, it's not just the muscles, it's the emotional scaffolding finally collapsing. Jung said, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another." Perhaps the life you've been holding up no longer fits your soul's shape. Perhaps your back hurts because you've outgrown the role it was built to support. What if back pain isn't just a medical issue, but a soul issue? What if your body is inviting you to lay down what is no longer yours to carry, to create a new foundation not built on fear, but on trust? Trust in life, in yourself, in the unfolding of a path that does not require you to hold everything together just to be worthy. Take a moment today to place your hand gently on your lower back. Whisper gratitude to it. Acknowledge how long it has carried you. Then ask, what would it feel like to be supported, not by pressure, but by presence? Pain is not betrayal. It is a message. The body does not punish. It only speaks. Are you ready to listen? Have you ever asked yourself why your back feels like it's carrying the weight of something you can't quite name? That persistent ache, that tightness between your shoulders, that heaviness in your lower spine, is it just bad posture, or is there a deeper story your body is aching to tell? What if your back pain is less about how you sit and more about what you suppress? In Jungian psychology, the body is not separate from the psyche. Your back is more than bone and muscle. It is a symbol of support, both what you offer to others and what you believe you're allowed to receive. Many people, especially in midlife, move through their days feeling like they must be the pillar for everyone else. They carry families, responsibilities, emotional burdens, secrets and sacrifices that no one ever truly sees. The weight grows silently. It doesn't scream, it simmers. And the back, that unseen part of yourself, absorbs it all. Upper back tension often points to emotional burdens related to unspoken expectations and suppressed resentment. You may feel like people lean on you constantly, but you're not allowed to lean back. That pressure builds, and because you never voice it, your body speaks instead. The middle back, where many hold pain, is tied to guilt, especially the guilt of unfulfilled obligations or self-abandonment in service to others. It becomes the storage place for what was never expressed. And the lower back? Often linked to survival fears, money, security, and stability. Every unspoken fear, every moment you've told yourself, "I'll carry it all," has a physical echo. Jung taught that the shadow, the unconscious part of ourselves, holds what we deny, repress, or forget. What if the pain in your back is the physical expression of the shadow's grief? The grief of never being supported, never feeling safe enough to ask for help, never knowing what it feels like to truly rest in someone else's arms. The body remembers what the mind dismisses. And the back? hidden from your own view, becomes the canvas for all that has been hidden emotionally. So here's a small but powerful practice. Sit in silence. Let your shoulders drop. Feel the length of your spine. Ask yourself gently, what am I carrying that is not mine? Who or what have I been holding up for too long? Breathe into that question, not to fix it, but to witness it. That alone is the beginning of healing. You are not weak for needing rest. You are not selfish for releasing what you can no longer bear. You are allowed to be held too. Now reflect. What burden are you carrying in silence? And what would happen if you finally laid it down? Have you ever wondered why certain feelings seem so unbearable that you'd do anything to avoid them? Not just distract yourself, but completely reshape your life around never having to feel them again? We all have that one emotion we've quietly labeled as too much. Maybe it's rage, maybe it's sorrow, maybe it's the ache of abandonment that you've carried since childhood, but disguised as independence. And instead of allowing it to move through us, we exile it into the unconscious, hoping it will vanish on its own. But it never does. It waits. It waits for silence, for stillness, for that moment at 2 a.m. when you're alone with your breath and the hum of everything you've tried to escape. Carl Jung taught that emotions we repress don't just go away, they descend into the shadow. And once they're in the shadows, they begin to rule our lives from the dark. That fear of rejection, that sudden anger that feels out of proportion, that emotional numbness that keeps you from truly loving or feeling joy, they're not random. They're the echoes of what we refused to feel years ago. Repressed emotions are like buried seeds that grow into strange forests in the soul. One day, you're lost in them, wondering why you can't find your way back to yourself. In real life, this might look like constantly choosing partners who abandon you, or working yourself into exhaustion so you never have to be alone with your thoughts, or avoiding eye contact with the people who love you because their intimacy feels like danger, not safety. This is the cost of emotional avoidance. It doesn't just block pain, it blocks the connection, it blocks truth, it blocks your ability to be fully alive. Jung said that what we resist not only persists, but grows stronger. The more we fear an emotion, the more control it has over us. So what if you didn't run from it this time? What if, for once, you stopped labeling that emotion as destructive and instead treated it like a lost part of your soul trying to return home? What would happen if you met your fear not with resistance, but with tenderness, with curiosity? Could it be that the emotion you're most afraid to feel is also the one most capable of setting you free? Sit with that question. Let it echo through your chest. Because beneath the fear, beneath the tightening, beneath the resistance, is often a truth so powerful it can change your entire life. All you have to do is feel it. Have you ever wondered why your legs feel heavy, even when you've done nothing physically exhausting? That unexplained fatigue, the dull ache in your thighs or calves, might not just be physical. It could be your soul whispering that it's tired of standing still in a life that doesn't feel like your own. Carl Jung believed that when the unconscious has something vital to say, it will speak through the body. And the legs, our tools of movement and direction, often reveal whether we feel safe moving forward or stuck in cycles that silently drain us. Think about it. How many times have you stayed rooted in situations that dimmed your light simply because walking away felt too terrifying? How often have you silenced the instinct to leap into a new beginning because fear whispered louder than your truth? Your legs might be holding the weight of every time you betrayed your inner voice, every path you didn't take, every boundary you were too afraid to set. When we suppress our desire for freedom, it doesn't vanish, it settles. And more often than not, it settles into the body as stagnation. In Jungian terms, this is the voice of the shadow, the parts of you that long for liberation but remain hidden because they threaten your constructed identity. The identity that says, I must stay here to be loved, or I can't leave, or I'll be seen as selfish. Yet, what if staying is the greater betrayal? What if the ache in your legs is your body pleading for change, for a new direction, for the courage to move even if you're trembling? Pain in the knees may reflect the unwillingness to bend to life's changes. Calf cramps may signal bottled-up frustration about the speed of your growth. And tired feet might suggest you're walking a path that no longer aligns with your soul. Now, ask yourself gently, am I moving in the direction of my truth, or am I staying still out of guilt and fear? Visualize your legs not as tired limbs, but as sacred messengers trying to guide you back to freedom. Place your hands on them and whisper, it's safe to move forward now. I am not trapped. Because the truth is, no emotional pain stays forever when it's honored. Your body wants to move, but it needs your permission. Let your next step, literal or metaphorical, be a sacred one. Let it be chosen, not obligated. Let it be light, not loaded. And maybe then your legs will stop aching, not because you've rested them, but because you've finally listened. Have you ever wondered what it really means when your feet feel tired before your day even begins? Not tired from walking, but from holding your whole life in place. From being the part of you that carries everything forward while the rest of you silently resists. Carl Jung believed that what we do not face in the psyche, the body will hold. And there is perhaps no clearer symbol of that than the feet, because they represent movement, direction, and purpose. When your feet ache, it is often the soul whispering, I do not want to walk this path anymore. This kind of pain is not random. It shows up when you are stuck between who you are and who you think you have to be, when you keep walking toward things that no longer nourish your spirit. When you stay in situations that have expired but still demand your energy. That pressure, that throbbing, that sensation of walking on stones is your body asking a sacred question. Is this road still yours? Most people do not pause to answer it. They keep going, out of habit, out of fear, out of duty. But the soul can only be ignored for so long before it starts speaking through pain. When Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate, he meant this very moment. That persistent discomfort in your body is not a coincidence. It is a message wrapped in tension, and the message is simple. Something must change. Maybe it is a toxic relationship. Maybe it is a job that starves your spirit. Maybe it is an outdated identity that no longer reflects who you have become. But one thing is clear. Your body already knows the truth. Your only task now is to listen. Try this. Stand barefoot. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly. Ask your feet what they need. Ask them where they want to go. Then ask your heart if it agrees. You may be surprised by the answer, because sometimes what you thought was fear of moving forward was actually grief over where you have stayed too long. And healing is not just about fixing what hurts. It is about honoring the parts of you that have been carrying pain in silence. This is where transformation begins, not with more doing, but with deeper listening. When you stop walking the wrong road, your feet will stop screaming. When you stop forcing yourself to stay where you are not meant to be, your body will begin to trust you again, because healing happens when we stop resisting our own evolution, when we give ourselves permission to take one brave step, not into what is expected, but into what is true. So now I ask you to pause and listen. Where in your life have you stayed too long? What path have your feet been afraid to take? Share it with me in the comments. You might give someone else the courage to move, too. And if this message resonated, type the words, "I release the path that no longer fits me." Let it be more than a comment. Let it be your first step. And finally, if this message opened something in you, subscribe to this channel. This is a space for healing, reflection, and inner awakening. Because your healing is not just a personal journey, it is a ripple that touches generations, and your first conscious step might just be the one that breaks the cycle. See you in the next video. Until then, walk gently, walk bravely, and walk home to yourself. If this touched something sacred inside you, don't let it fade into silence. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Your presence here is not just support, it's resonance. And if you feel moved to give back, your donation becomes a quiet but powerful gesture that helps keep this light alive for others still walking in the dark.